What's up, everyone? It's Cannan back with another video, and finally we are at part 16 of RWBY Alternate Realities. What if Yang was a Saiyan? I know it's been a while, but as I've said in a few other times, get used to there being a bit of a wait in between these episodes because while we still wait for news on Volume 10, I'm taking my time with these just because I don't want to get to the end of Volume 9 and not have nothing for you guys for who knows how long. Now, of course, I could pad it out and add the story of Ice Queendom and the Justice League movies, but I just don't know yet. I don't know yet. But yeah, we officially start the Volume 8 section of the story in this episode. I call it the War for Atlas arc. And even though Ironwood's gone and Cinder did get the power of the Winter Maiden, there's still a city, there's still a citizenship, and there's still a relic there to protect. And at the end of the last episode, after we just finished up the Arrowfell arc, Salem arrived in Atlas with her army of Grimm. Now, it had been so long that I kind of forgotten if I had mentioned certain characters. So before we go through it, just so I don't have to go through much explaining in the actual story, so out of the Aesops, as of right now, at the beginning of Volume 8, it's the same four survivors. It's Elm, Harriet, and Marrow. Vine was badly damaged, but during the events of the Arrowfell arc, he was repaired, so now he's back in action. I know I have not talked about him at all, but Oscar is there. And the biggest reason why I've not mentioned Oscar much is that his story really isn't no different in this than it is in the original show. Plus, I don't want to focus too much on too many other characters. That's why, despite him being there, I've not talked much about Crow. When it came to like Volume 3, I believe, I don't think I said much about Emerald or Mercury or Hazel during the Volume 4 and 5 arcs. I just, like, this is Yang's story. So, of course, I'm really only going to focus mostly on Yang, while also still lightly going for talking about other characters. But, and Neo. I don't think I've really talked about Neo since Volume 3, because she came back in Volume 6, and if I didn't go back and watch every single one of them, but I don't think I had Neo with Cinder at all in this version. And that's because, unlike in the show where she only has one maiden power, she's got three now. And before that, she had two, because she was successful in getting the spring maiden powers. Because in this version, Raven never had them. She's a full-blooded Saiyan. She doesn't need it. And so, in her quest for revenge, Neo knew kind of right away not to go after Cinder. Cinder's way too strong. And so Neo has technically been there the entire time in Atlas, but she's been keeping low because, for one, not only did she realize how strong Cinder was, she's now seen how strong Yang is. She doesn't want any part of that. So she's kind of being like an assassin in a way. So she still wants her revenge on RWBY. None of that's really changed. But she has just been waiting for a chance for RWBY to be alone, or at least a chance to have the perfect strike, and she's not had that this entire time they've been in Atlas. Just because, there's been epic anime battles going on, and explosions, and blasts, and power-ups, and all that. So, yes, here we are at Volume 8. I don't know how many episodes Volume 8 will cover, because Volume 8 is a very long volume. There's a lot going on. Of course, I can't touch upon every single bit of that, because I only want these episodes to be not, I want them to be so long that, they make for a good sitting and viewing experience, but I don't want them to be too long. Like, I don't know if an episode will ever be over an hour long like the very first ones, but there was a lot of backstory and setup that those needed. Um, and of course, this is what I'm going to be going with from now on when these episodes come out, because we no longer have the background that we used to have, and our RWBY posters are packed away. All I've got is the green screen, and I didn't want to put up just a boring black screen. I know the light is kind of shining on my face. I don't have a better placement for my light yet. Whoops, sorry. So yeah, I'm trying to have enough light on my face, but it's too close. I need to get that fixed. And plus, the camera is farther away from me than it used to be. So yeah, it's a bit different. I also want to take this opportunity to thank, if I pronounce this wrong, I am so sorry, but Naima, I think that's their name. Thank you for subscribing, a new subscriber. I also forgot to thank Zoe, a new subscriber. She works with me, so she subscribed just out of kindness, kind of. I think almost everyone at my workplace has subscribed. But yeah, so this will go. I don't know when this will go up. We may already be at Colossal Con when this goes up. I'm recording 2 other videos today to go up the current week that I am recording this, but also for that week. So 2, 3, about 5 videos. I'm thinking, because I don't think I'm going to be able to live stream until we get back. But anyway, let's get on with the story. So last time, Yang had successfully defeated Thormain, the super android. Team Briar was completely they completely recovered and were given Fort Arrowfell back, and who knows if they will actually show up to help in this version of Volume 8. But before really they could even rest, Salem shows up. And of course, Salem wastes no time. She, I know in the show they had her arrive and then she just sat there for a while before she truly commenced her attack. This version of Salem, because she has been observing things going on in Atlas. She's had little spies here and there, mostly Emerald and Mercury. They went on, to be as like reconnaissance. Now, in this version, Tyrion and Watts were not affiliated with Salem. Tyrion was just a fauna serial killer that Ironwood decided to capture and experiment on, and Watts had his own agenda. But she knows what happened. She knows that both failed. And so, not only is she keeping her minions on the down low, but she waited until the heroes pretty much were at their weakest. And even though at this point Yang has the power to go Ascended Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Grade 2, she's not had time to rest. So Salem pretty much says, let's show up at their doorstep and kick the door open. Now, as of right now, the only minions that she has are Cinder, who has 3 maiden powers within her, Emerald and Mercury, who I've not talked that too much about, and Hazel, which once again I've not talked too much about. Hazel still has his old story of wanting revenge on Ozpin and all that. That's why he is with Salem. Emerald is still there just because of her blind belief in Cinder, but that has started to wane because of some of the things she has seen, and plus Salem just scares her. So really, without wasting any time, Salem orders the attack, and floods of Grimm from land and by air decide to start attacking Atlas. Now, of course, the actual city of Atlas is protected by a barrier, because remember, after Ironwood was killed by Cinder, Winter took over and has really been spending all this time since Ironwood's death rebuilding the defenses and rebuilding the Atlas army. So the Grimm really can't do much against Atlas. But also, unlike Ironwood, Winter also stepped up Mantle's defenses. Not only does it have a barrier from dust, but it also has turrets. So, yeah, Winter actually cares about Mantle. But even with all of these defenses, they know that it probably won't last them through this entire fight. So, right when the attack starts, Winter calls them all, says, "Get to Atlas as fast as you can." So everyone that possibly can is there. Team RWBY, Team Juniper, Oscar, Penny, Crow, Robin, the Happy Huntresses, the newly repaired Vine, and the rest of the Aesops, they're all there. And they start trying to come up with a plan on what they can do. Now, of course, some are suggesting, let's just leave. Let's grab the relic and let's just leave. But then, of course, there's the counter argument. If we take the relic, Salem's just going to follow us. And there's no guarantee that we'd be able to get away. She would follow us anywhere we go. We would put anywhere we went in danger. So it's just like, well, what kind of plan can we really put into? Yang sits there and thinks to herself a little bit, and she stands up and she says, "We fight or we die. That's the plan." And everyone looks around her, and of course, you could have someone contest that, but they kind of realize in the situation they're in, she's right. All they can do is try and save Atlas, fight back. Maybe they'll find a weakness. Because remember, in this version, Salem is not immortal. She is just very, very strong. She's kind of like an ancient evil at this point, who has had generations to build up her power. And so they quickly start trying to come up with a plan, because they know that if Salem is there, Cinder is somewhere, Hazel is somewhere. For all they know, they're already in the city. So they start talking, and, Winter and Robin both have plans. Winter wants to focus on the battle and keeping the Grimm away from Mantle and Atlas. Robin thinks that, we should evacuate Mantle and Atlas, get as many people out as we can. That way, if the city does fall, at least the civilians are saved. RWBY also has a plan. She wants to record and release a message to not only warn the world about Salem, but also to see if they could get help. So, real quick, using their scrolls, they record RWBY's message. And so Winter gives 2 different missions. So just like in the original volume, we are going to split the teams up. Pretty much the same exact split up. So Winter and Penny, along with the surviving Aesops, and more than likely Crow as well, are all going to go to the battlefield to fight alongside the Atlas army and try and keep the Grimm at bay from air and land. So RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Nora will go to Amity Arena to relay the message, because that's the strongest point to get it out as fast as they can. While Yang, Ren, Jean, Oscar, and Robin, along with the Happy Huntresses, because in this version, they don't need May. They don't need May to sneak in. Will help the people of Mantle evacuate. Now, Yang, of course, wants to be in the battle. She's a Saiyan. She would rather fight, but Winter has to plead with her that she needs her in Mantle and or Atlas in case they fail. She looks at Yang and says, "You're the only hope if the rest of us all fail. You're the only one who can save Atlas and Mantle until either help arrives or we have to abandon the city." Yang doesn't like it, of course, but she has to agree. That's really all that they have. So with the plan set in motion, everyone, starts, saying, you be careful, and stuff like that. Ren and Nora have a little moment. Yang hugs Ruby and says, sis, just be safe. Which, Ruby says, I think I should be telling you that. And Yang's like, I'll be fine, just please. Don't do anything rash. I know you're heading up to a much safer place than I am, but just in case something happens, don't, I know you like to be the hero, but just come back to me safe. Which Ruby promises she will. And of course, Blake and Yang have their own little moment. They do the head touch thing. Blake says, you be careful out there. Yang says, you too. And Blake gives her a kiss on the cheek. And yeah, everyone has their orders, has their missions. Winter and the Aesops, Crow, and all them head out to the battlefield. Ruby and her group get a ride up to Anime Arena to relay the message. Hopefully they won't run into any trouble. And Yang and her group head down to Mantle. Now, up in Amity Arena, of course, like I said, they don't really have the opposition that they had in the show, so they're able to get in easy peasy, but somehow Flying Grim have been able to infiltrate it. Probably because it's so high up. And let's just say in this version, Amity, since it's not really being powered, it's just being powered enough to float. It doesn't have a shield. They didn't think about that. So of course, being huntresses, they're able to handle Grim. It's not like they're taking on Cinder. They're able to take out some Grim, and though it's a tough fight because there's a lot of them, and that's one thing that I think RWBY still needs to fix is we need, and I think Volume 8 got close, especially with the Hound, but we need to really establish the Grim as a threat again. Because for a while they were just fodder, they were video game fodder, they just show up to get killed, I think, like I said, I think Volume 8 did a good job of making them look destructive again, but yeah, like we need to do a better job on portraying the Grim once again. But once the Grim are taken care of, everyone guards around Ruby so she can put the recording in, and she just pushes some buttons because she doesn't really know what is broadcast, what is that, but this is a anime show, so she finds just the right one. The message starts broadcasting out. On the battlefield, Winter and everyone else shows up, and they join in the fight. Now, of course, with the Aesops being androids, they're able to do a good bit more damage than they could in the actual show, so it helps a lot. They're doing some damage, that's for sure. But the only problem is there's no end to the Grim. So even though the Aesops are androids, they don't run out of stamina. Eventually, the army is going to get overtaken, and there's only so much they can do. Now, of course, in Mantle, the evacuation's going good. The Grim have not been able to make it into Mantle yet, so they're getting people out very, very easily. As ships take off, Yang accompanies them. That way, if any Grim try to attack the ships, Yang is able to blast them out of the sky. But then, right when it seems like everything's going well, Ami Arena starts to blow up. Now, not one big explosion, but like there's a blast, blast. Salem has sent out Grim that can pretty much explode on contact to try, because the message is being beamed out, And so, to stop the message, she's trying to take out Amity. And Yang watches in horror as it starts to fall. So, remember, not only does this is her sister on there, but her friends and her love interest are also on there as well. But luckily, Penny out on the battlefield saw it and flies over and tries her best to keep Amity Arena afloat. Now, Yang wants to go and help her, but she's accompanying civilian ships. It's either leave them to die or go help Penny, and she doesn't know what to do. But luckily, Penny, though not be able to keep it far up in the air, is able to steer Amity Arena away and at least keep it descending slow enough to where once it does kind of hit landfall, it doesn't like explode or go into 1,000 pieces. And she is able to find RWBY and everyone else. They're okay. They're a little shaken up, except Nora. Nora did get badly injured. And so, to make sure she can rest and heal up, they decide, let's go to Shani Manor, and Penny helps them that way. Penny does radio to Yang that everyone's okay, though Nora was busted up a little bit. Ren is concerned, but being Ren, he's assured that she's okay and that they'll meet up soon. So they continue the evacuation. Now, in this version, they get the people of Mantle out. Like, they're able to work that fast because of the battle going outside, and plus, thanks to the better defenses of the city. And yes, they had them sent to Vacuo because Vale is not safe, Mistral's definitely not safe, so that's the only other place they can send them. And so Yang, Jean, Ren, and Oscar decide to patrol the city to make sure there's not any stragglers. And of course, while they're walking around, Yang feels uneasy, like something isn't right. It feels like they're being watched. And everyone else feels it too. It's creepy because the city is quiet. Besides the battle going outside, it's quiet. There's not a soul in the city. And of course, because of the storm, the sky is, not black, but it's dark. It's darkened. And for the first time, Yang's got chills. She's like, she's never been creeped out like this. Like, what is this? It's not the kind of creepiness you feel like if you walk through your house in the dark to get a drink or something and you just feel uneasy. This is literally like walking down the street late at night and feeling like someone's following you. She tries to shake it off, but something isn't right. And all of a sudden, John screams, and just in time, she turns around, and this big, hulking, dog-like Grim shows up. And this thing is fast, and it's strong, as it literally rams all of them. Now remember, despite being a Saiyan, Yang is tired right now. She hasn't slept much. She just had a big battle with Thormane. She expended a lot of energy. She's also hungry, so she's not at her top form right now. She quickly gets up and tries to fight this thing, and of course, she is able to hurt it. It's not like this thing is suddenly stronger than her, and she's able to break its jaw, but then it just pops it right back in place, and she's like, since when do Grimm heal themselves, But then it comes very, very apparent that it's after Oscar, because it keeps on going after him. And so Jean, Ren, and Yang are trying everything they can to keep this thing away, but it's relentless. It's almost like it's an android. It doesn't have any restriction on its stamina. Now, of course, Ren and Jean, it knocks back easily. Yang, of course, being a Saiyan, puts up a way better fight, but every time she damages it, it heals itself. And then when it finally gets a hold of Oscar, just like in the show, it starts using Oscar as a shield. Can Grimm do that? What is going on? She is able to get another hit on it because she is faster than it, which once again it heals itself, and she does just like in the show, put him down, and it growls out, "No." And they're like, did that Grimm just talk? And then, of course, just like in the show, it sprouts its wings and it flies off. Yang's like, damn it, what was that? It's like, and she looks at her hands and she's like, where's my power? Like, I didn't expend that much energy, did I? And just like in the show, they did get their speed bikes, though Yang doesn't really need it because she can fly. So Jean and Ren get on theirs and they're like, look, we've got to go after that thing. And, Yang nods and they take off and she takes to the air. But she's worried even if they find it, even if they reach it, what chance do they have? So, of course, just like in the show, they chase the Grimm through into the canyons. Yang's right on its tail because even though it's flying, it's using like regular wings, and she's flying using energy, so she's able to catch up to it very easily. And she notices that Jean and Ren are right below them, so she literally rams into the Grimm, so he'll drop Oscar, which it does, and Jean and Ren are able to catch Oscar, and Yang starts fighting this thing. But the fatigue is getting to Yang. Like, she can power up, but she wasted so much energy in that fight with Thormane, she can barely keep the Super Saiyan transformation. And so this Grimm, being smarter than your average Grimm, right, boo-boo, takes advantage of that and starts to use its speed over its strength to tire her out. And it works to the point where it's actually able to get a sneak attack on Yang and rams her downward, like hits her like that, and for them to go and to run her down to the ground. But instead of the ground, he runs her into Ren and Jean, completely destroying their bikes, sends Oscar flying, recatches Oscar, takes him to Monstra. Yang, Ren, and Jean are like upset and just they can't believe that just happened. So Yang's like, great. So it's getting late. All of them are tired. She's like, even if we go after it, what are we going to do? Like, in the state we're in right now, it would take us out. So they gather what they can of Ren and Jean's bikes to try and fix them. But of course, and they start going toward the shack, but of course Ren's upset because Nora's hurt. That just happened. Like, the whole situation is completely hopeless. So of course they have that argument. He insults Jean about lying his way into Beacon. And just like in a real show, Yang doesn't say much because she knows that Ren knows that was a low blow. And she can tell that really Ren's just mad. We all say stuff when we're mad. And they decide to leave him be. So he sits outside just like in the show. They go inside. Yang works a little bit on the bikes because, even in this version, she's still mechanic savvy. She's worried about. She knows they're okay, but she's also worried about Ruby. She's worried about Blake. She's worried about everybody. In this version, Jean is able to find some rations. He says he's okay, so he gives it all to Yang because he has seen how Yang eats. So Yang thanks him, and she does eat. Feels a bit better, got a little bit of her energy back. And he's like, well, once you get done with that, get some rest. If anyone needs it, it's you. And if anyone's going to have a chance against this thing, it's going to be you. He says, I'll stand up and I'll keep watch, and I'll also watch over Ren, make sure he doesn't freeze to death outside. Yang doesn't want to, but once she's done, she does decide to get into one of the beds and sleep. Even though, really, in this situation, sleep would more than likely be impossible. But she's so tired and so out of energy that she is able to fall asleep. She probably gets to sleep for a good few hours, but the whole time she's plagued by nightmares. She sees Ruby dying. She sees Blake dying. She sees the entire world dying. And, Salem appears in her nightmare saying, that it's all your fault. You could have prevented this. Some hero, some sister, So, of course, she wakes up sweating, wide-eyed, like, what was that? She sets up. She feels better. Probably not 100% full power, but way better than she was. She's not as empty anymore. Jean comes in and says, oh, good, you're awake. You gotta see this. Ren just found it. They all run outside, and that's, of course, when they see, literally, the River of Grimm. And they're like, what is this? Like, they're like, it's literally a river of Grimm. And they look, and it's leading toward Atlas. So they decide, okay, we need to at least follow this, see what it leads to, while we try to come up with a plan to save Oscar. And so Ren and Jean get on the one bike, because Yang was only able to fix one. And Yang says, I'm good. I'll walk, or I'll fly, And they take off. And that is where we're going to end this one. I'm going to keep the same background up for all the other episodes, because it's all going to take place within the same time frame, so there's really no need to change it. So I don't know when the next episode will be up. I don't want too much time to go by. That way I don't forget where I left off and have to watch the entire video. But, like I said, I don't know when this will go up. But whenever it does go up, I hope you enjoy it. I actually wrote notes this time to make sure I could remember where I was. But yeah, doing this what if stuff, like, sometimes it's easy, and then sometimes it's really hard. Like, I'm trying to I want to keep close to what happened in the volume, because this is more of a RWBY what if than a Dragon Ball what if, so I don't really have to follow anything of the story of Dragon Ball. But some of the fights I still heavily borrow from Dragon Ball, especially since I don't have attack names or anything like that. I kind of feel silly just saying energy blasts, but I didn't want to have Yang all of a sudden know the Kamehameha, But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave a comment, all that good stuff. As always, guys, this is Canaan. Me and Jess love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.